Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked,
and sometimes what didn't,
you will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
And inspire you to do even greater things.
This is a special episode for me personally. Welcome to the Software People Stories. This marks 300 episodes of the Software People Stories. The journey has been very enriching, but more of that in a few weeks when we complete 6 years of the podcast. I continue my conversation with Gunaseelan Narayanan, known as Guna. Guna is an executive coach with a long career in IT before that. In this part of the conversation, he talks about the transition from being a project leader to a delivery excellence leader, from doing more of research and development to services, and how best we can enable teams through processes. I had to ask him about his one company career experience and also the transition into becoming a coach. He shares some career advice, and also we talk briefly about ethics in technology, and we conclude this episode with some final thoughts from Guna. Listen on.
Yeah, if I look back, so that the project leader transition, I would say it was a mixed bag.
Mhm.
Some people liked my style, some people did not. Okay, so maybe I continue to micromanage or get into too much detail, which some people did not like. But over a period of time, again, you learn to adapt. Some people need closer supervision, some people don't. And as a project manager, again, we had very high performing engineers.
Okay.
So it was quite easy. And so my focus was on the big picture. Okay. In a sense, I was continuing to be hands-on in the sense that whenever I started working on a new technology, for example, I talked about the telecom project. Okay. So moving from computers to communication. So I did not like it very much, and I was asked to do that. Core computing is a lot more exciting, I thought. Okay, but then I had to learn the telecom, principles, and we had many products. I talked about the PABX. So we had what we call the PC-based PC telex machine, and what we call message switching system, in the sense that that is the star network of telex machines. So basically, computerization of telex network. So that the telex machines send messages to this computer-based system, and it stores in the disk and transfers to the next telex network. So that is a message switching system. Then voicemail, Unix implemented on a Unix computer. So understanding the telex system, I used to go to the libraries in the institutes and and look at journals from various companies and learn about it, and then train the team. on the technology, and then define the logic how to go about. So in that sense, I was hands-on, but of course, I was not coding at that time. But I understood the technology, and then, of course, manage the team with timelines and targets.
Yeah. So, okay, timelines and targets. Was there a difference when you were in R&D versus in services?
See, services, by that time, we came to services, that timelines, okay, in internal R&D, the timelines may slip a little, right? And whereas when we come to global customers, I mean, of course, the timings also, in the sense that the period was also different, right? And we were working for customers in a highly competitive environment. So the release dates were fixed.
Okay.
So that we had to meet the timelines, but then we were sort of working as a team. So in the sense that our engineers were part of the customer's large team. Okay. So they had the visibility of what we were doing, and so overall, what can be done, what can be completed in time, what is the specification of this particular version or release. So they managed it, and we had to meet that timeline. And of course, we had highly motivated and dedicated engineers. I mean, youngsters who really enjoyed working, late nights and overnight, and they always met their deadline.
So after handling a complete line of business, a large line of business like engineering and R&D services and all that, how was your transition to being an enabling kind of a function with delivery excellence?
Basically, to explain here, so it is a organizational transformation initiative, I would say. So enable the teams with the process and tools, and empower them to deliver. Now, what was my experience in that area? See, as early as 1993 or 94, when I was part of R&D, you remember the CMM level 5 certification of Motorola.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot of activity in Bangalore to promote process, and the process certification. So I attended a conference along with a colleague. I mean, that out of my own interest. So I came back and told my manager that we should at least go for ISO process certification. So then we started documenting the process as per ISO standards. Of course, we already had an R&D process, the internal process for software development in R&D. but then now we had to format it to ISO standards. So that was the starting point. So I continued to focus on process. So and here was not that difficult. Even in the the IT services time, we combined the customer's process and our process, and went for ISO 9000 certification. Then we also got CMM level 4 certification. Okay. So I would say that this organizational transformation and taking implementing organization-wide process compliant with the CMM and associated tools is a sort of a continuation of what I was doing in one division to make it across the organization.
Let me ask the question a little differently. See, when you were heading a division, when you had the team reporting to you and you had direct control or influence, you could do some things in a particular way. Now, an organizational transformation is when, let's say, you are responsible for the results or for the outcomes, but then needs to be achieved through teams that don't report to you from a direct administrative or other things. So how was that experience? And then what are some tips for someone to dream beyond what one can do either as an individual or with just one small team?
Yeah. So there I would say that in that sense, making the different divisions or lines of business aligning, I would say, was a mixed results. I would say the success will depend on the closer connect or relationship with the delivery teams and understanding their pressures and working with them to sometimes tailor the process to suit the environment. I think I would say that when you try to roll out a process across the organization, tailoring the process to suit the environment is very important, which I would say we had to do it in the R&D environment also. And the second thing is, again, building the support teams has to empathize with the delivery team. So that is the typical problem in any matrix organization, right? So if you say that if you think that you have the upper hand, you have to the other team has to follow whatever you say, or the customer focusing team comes and says, I'll do what my customer says. So there's no meeting point. So continuous communication with the team. Of course, the message from the leadership teams enabling collaboration with the enabling teams is also important. More importantly, I would say the enabling team has to work closely with the delivery teams.
So in doing that, it would also be with, like you said, different customers have different priorities or pressures and so on, plus different geographies and then different domains. So how do you quickly develop an understanding or empathy for this kind of diversity?
Yeah. So, I would say that what we did was aligning the enabling teams with the respective division or line of business, in their locations, and make them interact and understand. And that's the way to go about doing it. I cannot have a central team which will handle multiple domains and customers. That may not work. And so the teams have to be closely associated with the respective lines of business.
Slightly different thing. You are one of the very few people I know who has been a one company career person.
Yeah.
So how has that been?
Yeah, that's a question asked many times. Even before I left HCL, even working within HCL itself, this question was asked, especially by juniors.
Okay.
So I would say that that the opportunities which I got, I would say varied opportunities. So first I was in computers. Again, another thing which I can think of is that the technology was evolving very rapidly. Okay, so initially Intel 8085, then we jumped onto the PC bandwagon, making our own PCs. Then parallelly we were developing Unix based solutions. Then of course we had to go take up HP's Unix based systems. So then that means I had the opportunity to work on smaller microprocessor like Intel 8085, then Unix based systems. Then after 6-7 years, I moved on to communications, telecom. Again, learning how telecom systems work and so on. So that was a good transition. Good change for me. It's like, initially it was a separate division itself. Then again, the next change was the HP joint venture. So we moved back to computers with the HP joint venture. There again, the HP's introduction to HP's culture, HP's way of managing. They have the in-house training programs. So they trained all the managers and that. So that was again a good experience.
Okay.
And after that, we got into software exports. Okay. So within 15, 20 years, it was like working in 3-4 different companies. So yeah, so that was so I did not have to think of doing something because I was getting bored.
Okay. As an extension, now post, if you want to call it retirement or post this phase, when you became a coach, how is that transition? Or again, was there any readjustment required in terms of maybe being even 1 step or 2 steps removed from the action, but then helping somebody else actually mature and deliver?
Yeah. So I would say my exposure to coaching happened in in HCL Technologies somewhere around 2005 or so. So we had a program to coach entry-level managers. With with a consultant helping us. Okay, so that was my first exposure to coaching. But then I always, focused on developing, my team members. Okay, so I started thinking, after getting into software services, I mean, beyond a point, the role became, empowering the team to deliver. Okay. Now, when you think of empowering the team, then you have to empower the leaders, right? So you have to have, programs to develop the leadership within the organization. So which we attempted well in the initial customer ODC. So we got a project management trainer come from abroad, and then we got Stephen Covey's 7 Habits training and so on. So that was, I would say, the exposure. So after coming out, I was thinking of doing something other than IT. So when this opportunity came, so I took it up. Again, the thought process was that it is important to help the leaders to develop. So basically, it's leadership development. So that's how I got into it. But then, but you have to unlearn and learn a lot of things, right? So, because the challenge was that though we focus on empowering the teams, a lot of times, you are more directive. As a manager, you had to be directive, right? But as a coach, you can't be directive. Right? So we had a very good training program and internship. So that helped a lot in the transition.
So that is probably a nice kind of segue to ask for some career tips for two segments of people, which I would like. One is people who are considering a career in IT today. With a lot of confusion whether AI is going to take away all the jobs. If I get in now, will I have a long career or whatever? And the second is for typically people who may call them as going through the midlife crisis or mid-career crisis, where there is a little bit of disappointment about whether I'm doing the right thing or what should I be doing. And of course, the personal needs and pressures also come up. So questions are about whether I should stay technical, should I become managerial, should I do something else, change my job, and all those things. So since you have seen a lot of different roles, as you said, like working in different companies and so on, are there any tips for people in either of these segments or both these segments?
I would say, if anyone is considering taking up what we call information technology, which is major high-tech employer today. Okay, so I think it is good to pursue that if you are good at analytical skills. If you have good analytical skills, okay, and you are process oriented, and you have done programming, you like programming, it is good to pursue that. I don't think the opportunities will be limited because, in the 80s, it was predicted that by the year 2000, you don't need any programmers. Okay, the end users will do all the programming. Though, of course, we have a spreadsheet today, everything lot of things on the spreadsheet. But then, we still need programmers. Of course, new technologies that are coming up, that will continue to need, a lot more people to do in the IT industry. Now, mid-career, again, here, I mean, it is. I don't think a straightforward tip can be given. It is always, good to speak to a mentor and or a coach, and so what you need to look at is your strengths. So the coach helps you, identify your own strengths, and also, helps you get a 360-degree view. And if you go for a full-fledged coaching, talking to people around you. In fact, the first HP training program included a 360 feedback.
Okay.
So your strengths, and then you increase. I mean, the coach will help you increase your self-awareness. Then, I mean, as it is said all the time that you have to identify the purpose. Of course, I mean, so it's at this point in your career, maybe you are in a better position to, identify your purpose rather than, a young engineer, what is your purpose? I mean, they may not have an answer. So the coach will help you in that, and then you will be able to make a decision.
Yeah, kind of a bonus question just occurred to me as we were talking, is that this has been there in different forms earlier. Since technology has the power to bring in significant changes at scale, and particularly with the new AI-based approaches, there is a question of ethics. Is it possible to teach ethics, or how do we ensure that, because we don't have, let's say, for the software developers or engineers, any code of ethics. Whereas if you take whether the medical profession, legal profession, or all those, they always have a code of ethics that everybody signs. Because they depend on whether software development is engineering or science or art or craft. Okay, that continues. So what would be your thoughts on this?
If we talk about code of ethics for engineers, okay. So if you are a member of IEEE, they have code of ethics. So if you are a member of ACM, there's a code of ethics. So I would say that is a starting point. Okay. So, and of course, I mean, nowadays, every organization has a code of ethics. But I'm not sure whether we need any IT or software, domain-specific code of ethics. I would say these ACM or IEEE code of ethics should be good enough.
Okay.
And I have not, thought deeply about this, but that's a quick answer to your question.
So as we come towards the end of the time for this conversation, are there any things that you wanted to share which probably didn't come out?
Yeah. I think we have covered a lot of ground. I would say that, after getting into coaching, I would say that what we are seeing today is that many organizations are developing leaders to be in-house coaches. The coaching style of leadership.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the organizations, more organizations take up this, the leaders as coaches. So that will help them, build the future leaders in the organization. Of course, many HR leaders are implementing it, and I think it is probably not done much in the IT sector. So if they take up this, they will have a large pipeline of future leaders.
Thanks a lot, Guna, for sharing your story and your perspectives. There are some more questions which will probably be very specific in terms of context. We'll probably have a separate conversation on that. Thanks once again.
Thank you, Shiv. It was wonderful talking to you.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People Stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.